This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Jose. We are at the California Democratic Party Convention, and we are joined by Laura Friedman. She is a member of the City Council in the city of Glendale, and she is running for the California State Assembly. The seat is currently held by Mike Gatto. He is termed out. The seat covers what cities, what area?
La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Glendale, Burbank, and parts of Los Angeles, Atwater, Los Feliz, East Hollywood, and a little bit of Silver Lake.
What a great district.
It's a great district.
I was going to say.
It's a big district.
A very big district. So you're going to go from representing how many people in Glendale?
About 200,000.
Oh, so it's about doubling, or a little more.
A little more than double, that's right.
So let me ask you, why have you decided that you want to seek this seat? You've had a successful run in Glendale.
I have.
And, one could argue you can get a lot done locally.
Yes.
And if you're in Sacramento, instead of being one of five, you'd be one of 180 or 120.
Right.
What made you decide to make the run?
Well, it's really an organic extension of the same work that I've been doing. So I've done a lot of work to help our small business community. I've done a lot of work on water resources. I've done a lot of work with housing accessibility. But you get to a point where you've done as much as you can locally, and then you have to go in Sacramento to really complete that work. So to me, it's not about some goal that I've had for a long time. It's really about caring about certain issues and knowing that I need to be in Sacramento to keep working on those same issues.
So how are you able to make a run in a district as large as you described, although not that geographically large, but still, Burbank new to you, Los Angeles new to you. How do you get the message out?
Well, Burbank's really not that new to me because I've been on the Burbank Airport Authority now for a number of years.
Got it.
And certainly have worked regionally as a council member and as a mayor. I work with other council members. I work with a lot of other elected officials on issues. So I've been in Los Angeles talking about the LA River revitalization.
Of course.
I've been in La Cañada dealing with trying to stop the 710 freeway. So I've been around the district working on issues, and people know me. They know me because of that. And I've gotten great support from elected officials and voters all across the district because of that work.
And one board that you joined as part of your involvement in the region is the Metropolitan Water District, MWD.
That's right.
Those of us from Southern California know it well.
Yes.
And I want to talk to you about the drought we've been facing. Councilwoman, I have to admit, I was so excited for El Nino.
Where is it?
Where is it? Well, we're in Northern California now.
Yes.
It's here.
It's here.
It's in San Jose.
Right.
It's in the Sierras. But for those of us from Southern California, what happened?
Well, the scientists say that it's going to come. It's just that it's so large and there's so much hot air that it's kept the pressure systems. I am not here doing the weather. I am not the weather person.
I did that for a few months.
But I'll tell you this. There's good news and there's bad news about El Nino. The good news is that because the snowpack has been so good in Northern California, our drinking water is going to be replenished, or at least some of it. But the bad news is that the trees and the plants from the Central Valley south desperately need water, and we're seeing wholesale die-offs of forests, the wildlife is struggling.
So let me ask you then, even though we do see water in Northern California, it's clearly not enough eliminate the drought.
That's right, and it's not replenishing the groundwater, which is where a lot of water for Southern California also comes from.
And so statistics have come out over the last few months, and Californians, we've been saving, but less and less each month. And so how are you as a leader in water trying to remind your residents, we've got to keep saving. We're not there.
Right, well, we're doing a good job. We could certainly do better, but conservation is becoming a way of life for people in Southern California, and I think statewide too. And the other good thing about El Nino, if there's anything good about it, is that it's really reminded people that water's precious, that it's an imported commodity in most of Southern California, and that we have to make conservation something that we do, not just in the dry years, but also in the wet years.
So let me ask you, presuming victory,
yes,
you'll be in Sacramento, and you'll be part of a body that was instrumental in getting Proposition 1 passed. Proposition 1 being the water bond.
Yes.
And it passed in November of 2014, am I right?
Yes.
I haven't seen much spending. It was a $7.545 billion bond, $2.7 billion for storage. Where's the new storage?
Well, you'll start seeing that money begin to roll out. One thing about doing these large projects is that they take a lot of review. There's a lot of environmental review that has to be done, a lot of outreach, a lot of planning that has to go into it. But I will say Met is building a water replenishment plant in Los Angeles
right.
that's going to help take water that is otherwise wastewater and recycle it up to a very high level, and then try to insert it back into the groundwater to replenish the groundwater.
I want to ask you, though,
Yes.
about that notion of
Yes.
recycling, because what you're essentially saying is toilet to tap.
No,
It's not?
It's showers to flowers.
Showers to
Brad.
flowers. Okay, but
That's
is
right.
it, though, if it's going back into the ground, is it the type of water that you're pulling, you're not pulling?
It'll go back into the ground, and
Okay.
then there'll also be natural filtration. And when it comes out, it'll go through a reverse osmosis system, so it will be clean. And let me tell you something, all the water on the planet's already recycled.
Oh,
We're not
that's true.
making any new water.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And recycling is the future. I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to be the future of water in Southern California. We'll be recycling, it'll be capturing more stormwater and
Right.
not letting all of the stormwater run out to the ocean every time there's a rain event.
Right.
And decreasing our reliance on that imported water from the north of the state.
I want to talk about a couple issues. One
Sure.
being the environmental side, second turf, because MWD is part of the turf
Yes.
question. On the environmental review side, you know, Governor Brown said a few years ago that CEQA reform is God's work. CEQA being the California Environmental Quality Act. And some of your future friends, should you win, on the
Right.
Republican side, have been looking at CEQA reform specifically for the water projects.
Right.
What do you make of that? Not much, they haven't gotten any legs on it
Right.
in terms of CEQA reform for water projects.
Well, certainly there have been some abuses of CEQA in the past. I mean, we've seen people use CEQA to stop competition.
Right.
We've seen
Litigation as a weapon.
litigation as a weapon. On the other hand, it's really important that the public has a chance to really understand and weigh in on all of the environmental effects of a project. And it's very important that they have a voice.
But do we have time for a multi-year CEQA review process? We need to capture the water now.
We need to not just be sure that we understand the environmental impacts of any project, we also have to make sure that it makes good sense in terms of policy. We have to make sure that projects pay off financially, that projects are really the right way to be doing long-term water infrastructure investments. These are big projects with a lot of money at stake, so I don't think that they hurt by slowing down a little bit to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing.
Let me ask you about the MWD, its turf rebate program.
Yes.
Wildly successful.
Very successful.
To say that is an understatement. The money was grabbed up in
Yes.
record time, about $450 million. But after that happened, there were some rumblings. Was the money most efficiently and effectively spent on turf as opposed to, for example, appliances? We hear that the MWD is not looking to renew the program. So talk to me about the turf rebate program. Was it as successful as it seems?
Well, I haven't really studied the numbers in terms
Right.
of reduction. I do know, though, for a fact that you can have a huge amount of water reduction by removing grass,
Right.
turf from your yard and putting in drought-resistant plants. Something like 70 to 80% of water that single-family homes use is used outside the
Well,
home.
that's true.
Plus, by doing the turf removal program, we also demonstrated to the neighbors that you can do a beautiful garden without
Right.
with drought-resistant plants. So you get a kind of an extra bang for your buck with that. Whereas I can replace your washing machine and no one's going to know
Well
except
stated.
you.
But it's interesting how it just seemed like on a dime, all of a sudden, turf removal became less cachet. That somehow it wasn't the panacea we thought it was going to be. What's your sense?
My sense is that time is going to tell. And
Right.
if that sticks, and if the neighbors start to imitate and you start to
Right.
see more and more people remove turf, then you're going to see a real payoff on that
Will
program.
MWD reconsider its decision on a new turf removal
I think
program?
MWD is always open to considering all kinds of conservation.
Okay, her name is Laura Friedman. She is a member of the City Council in the city of Glendale. She is running for the California State Assembly. The primary will be in June, the
That's
general
right.
in November, 43rd Assembly District. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are in San Jose at the California Democratic Party Convention. This is Charter Local Edition.